So Grief Camp started about 15 years ago. We had, 1 year obviously where we missed because of COVID, but Hartsway started Grief Camp in around 2012. The idea and our heart for this was we take care of families, we take care of individuals that have end of life, illnesses, terminal illnesses that are, beyond traditional medicine. That's what hospice care is taking care of people in the end of life. What about the family though? What about those that are left behind? And so it's not unusual for any hospice to provide some level of grief support services, but those are generally kind of surface level, where they might be cards or notes or phone calls made to the immediate family member, the surviving spouse, the surviving adult son or daughter. What about kids? Kids are grieving the loss too. And oftentimes there aren't any services or anything, for kids. And so we wanted to do something different. We wanted to really be true partners in our communities and really reach out to families and really say, one of our slogans is every step of the way. And so if we're going to do that, then we realized we needed to reach out to the younger people as well. And so we have licensed social workers, and we're very fortunate that two of our social workers are also licensed professionals counselors. And so they've put together this camp specifically designed for kids and the way kids process thoughts, the way kids process difficulties, trials, challenges, and specifically the way kids deal with grief. Because oftentimes you think about any funeral that you've ever been to, and usually the people that are front and center are the adults that have lost that particular loved one. Again, whether it's a surviving spouse or an adult son or daughter. And the kids are oftentimes a little bit left out. And it's usually because people really don't know what to do with them. And kids often don't know what to say or to do or how to act. And so sometimes we'll see a child, the child seems normal, they seem kind of quiet, and we assume that that child's doing okay. And there hasn't really been the opportunity for that kid to process grief and to say anything about what they're thinking or feeling. And so we wanted a space to provide that young people could have that opportunity to be around other young people, because it's very important for kids to see other kids, people that look and act like them, that are going through the same things. And so that's how Grief Camp came about, and we're happy to keep providing that service. One of the neat things about camp is we have kids that are here that have been here 4, 5, 6 years in a row, because they've realized that, number one, like you said, it's fun. It's still camp. Even though we're processing through some grief and some difficult things, we didn't want this to be some really heavy camp that's just overwhelms them with all these emotions. We want it to be the typical camp that any child would go to in the summertime, with arts and crafts and games and crazy activities and great food and times of just being around other kids. And so that was very important for us to create that typical summer camp experience, and we've done that. And so a lot of our kids, they come back, and we've been able to see these kids from when they were maybe 6 or 7 years old when they first began to come to camp, who are now 12, 13, and they're going to age out when they hit 14. And we've got some kids that say, hey, when I turn 18, I want to volunteer for this camp and be a part of it, because it's had that type of an impact. And again, the main thing is it's so important for kids to be around other kids, to realize that those individuals are going through the same things that they're going through, that they're not alone. And what we've discovered is, I think a lot of times people make assumptions about children, and they think if a child has experienced loss, it's probably a grandparent. We have a number of campers who have lost one or even both parents. We have a number of campers who have lost a sibling, and it's so difficult for kids that age to express and process that emotion and that grief. And so everything we do, even the fun things, are designed to be coping mechanisms and things that they can take with them and use to help them, process that grief, not just now, but as different milestones in life come along. So what we've done in years past is we've tried to come up with different things to do for a memorial service. And again, so it's not so heavy-handed or so overwhelming that it causes, too much emotion, but at the same time, it's thought-provoking and something that the child can take with them. So last year, as you said, we did a tree. The kids made individual ornaments that were very similar to Christmas ornaments. They wrote little notes about their loved one and put like maybe a trinket that reminded them of their loved one in that ornament, and then they placed it on the tree and were able to say something about that loved one. And then they were able to take those ornaments with them. And we've had multiple kids say that last Christmas they took that ornament and put it on the family Christmas tree, which is great. We've done a dove release in the past. We've done a butterfly release in the past. We've done balloon releases in the past. This year we made individual quilt squares that the kids are going to be able to take with them at the end of the day when camp wraps up. And then we've put those quilt squares together to form one great big quilt so that, again, they can see all these shared experiences that they've decorated on their individual square come together to create one big beautiful pattern. And so things like that we do, we kind of came up with that idea. We do a memorial every year at Christmas called Love Lights at Christmas, where we put luminaries around the park at the Longview Arboretum. It's very, very beautiful. That idea kind of, crept into kids camp as to what can we do at the end of camp to kind of have some sort of memorial that's similar to Love Lights that the kids can really take something from. So again, we take a craft, something kids enjoy doing, and we take that craft and we morph it into the memorial service that we do. And it tends to, like you said, have a lasting impact on the kids. And then we wrap up the whole day with a great big party. We don't want to leave the kids with this big solemn, heavy moment. We're going to do our memorial, and then we're going to have a great big time of fun at the end. And so the kids have a great time. They come to camp because they want to be here. It's not mom and dad twisting their leg to come to some grief camp. We don't call it grief camp. We call it kids camp. Obviously it is a camp for kids that have experienced loss and are going through grief. But we want it to be a time of fun. And the kids that come back, they come back for two reasons. They talk about the friends that they've made and the things that they've learned, and they talk about fun, that it's a fun camp. So again, our mission to do this was how can we serve the entire family? And we saw a hole in our community that no one else was doing, and that was serving kids. And so that's our goal, is to serve kids. We want to make sure every part of the families that we take care of, that their needs are met. We get donations and we raise money so that we can put on this camp for free. We don't want our families to be burdened. Summertime can be a very expensive time for families. If they want to get kids involved in sports camps and other camps, and sometimes those camps are very expensive. And so we wanted to offer something to the community that was at absolutely no cost. We incur all the costs, or we get donations. We had partners from USI Insurance was here yesterday. Trista Hubbard and her team were wonderful. They came and cooked hamburgers for our kids. They had a great time. And so we have different community partners like that either make donations or come and serve. And so that's what's great about being a nonprofit hospice, is we get to really connect with the community in that way. And this is one of the things that New Beginnings Baptist Church has been so wonderful to let us host the camp here the past several years. They have great facilities and are great to work with. We could not do the camp without our community partners. We have about 13 campers here this year.
Is that typical?
In the range between like 15 and 30 to 35. It depends. It varies from year to year. You never know what people have going on and what other activities they're in.
Right.
But we don't focus on the numbers. Sometimes when you have a smaller group, you have a more meaningful impact with a smaller group. And so we've had a great group this year. We've had a great time. One of the young ladies said, "Man, I hate that this is the last day of camp. I wish camp was going on to the end of the week." So that's our goal. We want kids to get something out of it. We want them to want to keep coming back. We're very fortunate to have licensed social workers and a couple of licensed professional counselors on our staff at Hartsway. So we're very, very blessed to have that. In addition, all the volunteers that you've seen here and about have gone through training specific to this camp. And so we've learned to just let the kids tell their story. We'll have a craft where they're drawing a picture of their loved one or some activity that they did with their loved one. Maybe it's going to the park or going fishing or playing golf or whatever it is. And we just gets the young person talking about that loved one. And we have parents that come to us at the end of camp and say, "Oh my gosh, we're never able to get our son or our daughter to open up and talk about grandma or grandpa or mom or dad or whoever that they've lost." And they've come to camp and they're talking about them and they're okay with talking about them. And so the theme of camp being small things, we've talked about sometimes it's the small things that come out of nowhere that cause us to be sad and grieve. And then sometimes it's the small things that remind us of the love that we had for that individual and that they had for us, the joy that those memories bring. And so we've talked to them about processing those feelings and that it's okay. And that one of the toughest lessons for any of us, even myself as an adult, to learn is that we can grieve and be filled with joy at the same time. And so I can miss that loved one. Like for me, I talk about my mom and dad because they're both gone a lot. I can miss them and then just be filled with joy and gratitude for the wonderful parents that they were and the wonderful memories that I have of them. And so that's what we want to tell the kids, that number one, you don't grieve alone. And that number two, it's okay to grieve and have those happy memories and to be filled with joy because of what that loved one meant to you.
I see. That's excellent advice for me too as well, thinking about it. Is there anything else I'm not touching on you think is important to add?
No, we just want to remind the community that this camp is every year. It's every June. You can go to our website at heartswayhospice.org, and there's information about camp. You can call our Longview office and get information about camp, but it's every June. And so we would love to have more of our community know about the camp. And again, it's free and open to the public. And so we're just happy to do our part as a local nonprofit hospice that's been here in Longview for over 40 years. A lot of people don't know that about us, but we've been here a long time and really partnering with our community. We want to be beyond. Healthcare's gotten so much into numbers and taking care of as many people as you can. We want to be beyond just the numbers of healthcare and get into the people that we take care of, the families that are involved with those people, and take care of the whole family. That's our mission, that's our purpose, and we want to live that out.